Welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead, and you join us here at Silverstone for the Ferrari Clienti Day. So, as you can hear, there's a few out on track at the moment, but we are here to look at this, the Ferrari Roma. Now, Ferrari, obviously, quite possibly the biggest name in motoring, but in recent years they've sort of veered towards the more lunatic end of the scale. You think of the 812, the SF90, the F8 Tributo. They've been producing some absolute outright savage cars. So this is Ferrari relaxing a little bit, both in styling, ride, but perhaps not performance, because there is still a thumping twin turbocharged 3.9 litre V8 under there, and this car will do 0 to 60 in just 3.2 seconds. I mean, as we'll see in the drive along, it sounds fantastic. It's a really, really fast car, but it still drives like a GT. It's fantastic. But anyway, let's start having a quick look round. So I come round, some people have said that this looks like an Aston Martin. I mean, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be offensive or not. I don't get offended when people tell me I look like Brad Pitt. Okay, I wouldn't get offended if people told me I look like Brad Pitt. But let's keep looking round anyway. So it's got this sort of shark fin nose, so you get a bit of overlap at the front there. I come round, this one's riding on 20-inch wheels, so you can see the carbon ceramic brakes through there. They do a really, really good job as well. So we've got an integrated camera and indicator on the side there, so it's got the 360 camera for when you're reversing and parking, and there's another camera in the wing mirror there as well. So I really like the sweeping curves on this car. It is just, it just looks fantastic, doesn't it? I mean, it looks relaxed, it looks refined, it looks elegant. It's not as in your face as some of the other cars in this car park. In fact, if you have a quick scan round now, you might see some rather more aggressive looking Ferraris around us. And this, just much more subtle, a much softer introduction to the Ferrari range. It's come back 20-inch wheels at the back as well. So I didn't mention the price actually. So this car starts at £175,000. The model tested here is £235,000. It's fitted with a few options, predominantly a lot of carbon. So I haven't actually seen the options list, so I know the price, but I don't know what that's you're getting for your money exactly on that. Check out the written review when we publish that on the londoneconomic.com, and I'll put the options in there so you can have a look. So obviously, it being a GT, we need to have a look in the boot. If you're doing your continent crossing journeys, you need to get your stuff in there. And actually, yeah, it's quite a big boot. Oh, you definitely get a cricket bag in there, weekend bag, all that sort of stuff. You might even get a weekly shop in there if you are so inclined. Oh, another thing actually while we're here. So it does actually say the options here. So if we come in on that, I've forgotten about that. So if you want to know what all the options are, hit pause now. So there we go. So yeah, we've got these lovely quad exhausts around the back as well, and again, just a sweeping line. So there is a spoiler that pops up. This folds up at higher speeds to improve downforce and all that sort of thing. But I mean, it's such a beautiful car, isn't it? And it is. We asked when we did the Aston Martin DBS a couple of videos ago, check that out on the channel, said, is that the best looking car in the world at the moment? This is rivaling it, perhaps because it looks a bit like an Aston Martin, but I mean, it's just not a bad thing, is it? I mean, it is a really, really lovely looking car, and I really like the subtlety of it, but it still packs supercar savagery as well. But anyway, let's see what it's like inside. We'll start with the key actually. I don't normally, but that's a really nice sort of key they provided there, the Roma badging on it and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, we are inside the Ferrari Roma now, and as you can see, it's really nice. You get the leather headlining up here, soft leathers through here. It's really just a nice place to be, really. There's no complaints at all. It's very comfortable, every inch is sort of GT. You know, things like your glove box in there. The storage bins are acceptably sized. Open this, is more storage in the centre of the car as well. It's really nice, but let's just start it up and then we can have a proper look at the bits and pieces around here. So you've got the central infotainment system here. So we've only had this car for an hour, so not had ages to play around with it, but I mean, everything works in here. I really like this for selecting the gears, so down for reverse, put it into manual, put it into auto, and you use that for launch control if you're so minded. But another great feature is over here in the passenger seat, you get another, oh hang on, the AC's gone nuts. You get another touch screen over here, so the passenger can go through and look at everything that's going on as they go along, and you can turn that off and all that sort of stuff as well. I mean, that is really quite nice. I really like that. It's really well thought out, and the passenger can change the audio and all that sort of stuff as well. As we swing round, so the main, it's like a virtual cockpit thing going on up here. So you've got the touch screens for cycling through your options, but you've got this lovely Maranello here. So you've got wet, comfort, sport and race, and if you are a full-on nutter, you can turn traction control off altogether. One neat feature though, if you put it into sport, if you hold this down, you get bumpy road. So you get the comfort suspension setting, but the sporting performance. So you get the sharpened throttle response, quicker gear changes, all that sort of thing. Flick that back into comfort if you want. So the indicators are on here as well. You get these lovely carbon fibre paddles as well. I mean, it's really rewarding car to drive in manual. Yeah, really, really good. We'll touch upon that on the drive along. And you've got all your other features for your lights and your windscreen wipers are all on the steering wheel. But it's just a really, really nice place to be. It's really comfortable. I mean, we'll have a quick look at the rear seats just while we're here. It is a 2+2. It's got ISOFIX, so I guess you could get the kids around in it. You wouldn't want to be an adult sitting back here. But one quite good feature of this is that these, you can unlock them in the boot, so you can through load from the back. So if you need more boot space, if you wanted to get your golf clubs in, say, these do fold down, and you can get more in there. So yeah, it's really well thought out. It's really nice in here, really comfortable. Feels like a GT car, but performs like a supercar. Let's see what it drives like. Right, what is a Ferrari Roma like to drive? Savagely fast. It's not a slow car. To think that this is Ferrari's more relaxed version of itself, GT for every occasion. I mean, one thing to say, as soon as you get behind the wheel, it does feel like a GT. It really does. It's really comfortable, really smooth. So it's got the 8-speed dual clutch gearbox, really smooth again. Been driving it in manual mostly actually. That's slightly more rewarding than using the auto box. Not often the case. I normally leave cars in auto on the basis that there's so much engineering gone into them. They do a far better job than I could ever do. But this is, it's nice. You can just drop it down and away you go. And it's quite nice because it's got the rev counter on or the shift indicator on the steering wheel as well. So when you get a flash of red in your eye line, you know it's time to change gear. So that's that's a useful feature to have. So we've got the 3 main driving settings. So we've got comfort, sport, which we're in at the moment, and race, which I'm not going to use because we've only got an hour with this car and we are on public roads and it's not my car, so I don't want to hand it back in 2 pieces. But in race mode, it just sharpens up the throttle and gear changes. I mean, it does make a difference. It's instant shifts straight through the range. I mean, it's really quite impressive. In comfort mode, that's a bit more relaxed. So if you do just want to slacken it off a bit, you can. But it's really, really fast. I mean, and the beauty of it as well is it doesn't always feel that fast. It does feel like a GT car, like I say. I mean, it's really quite comfortable, really refined. You've got these really nice finishes. Alcantara headlining, soft leather around here. It's a really nice place to be, and the controls are really well thought out as well. So they've got a lot of controls on the steering wheel, but a lot of it's a touch screen, which at first sounds like, do you want a touch screen on these things? But actually it works really well, and once you've given yourself a second to get used to it, it's actually quite intuitive to use as well, so that's quite nice as well. But I mean, I think if you're looking from the sort of lifestyle perspective on one of these cars, this is going up against things like the Aston Martin DB11, probably the DBS really. I mean, it's that savage performance is more comparable to the DBS and the DB11, I would say. Obviously people have said that the looks are similar between them, but I mean, whatever. I think this car looks absolutely superb, and it feels superb when you're inside it as well. It feels like a special car, and I mean, that's what you want from a Ferrari, isn't it? Ferraris are special cars, and this is every inch one. And I think that sort of the Super GT fits a road going Ferrari. I mean, obviously they do their nut job hybrid specials. We were actually at the Ferrari day at Silverstone, and we were following a LaFerrari on the M40 on the way up, and they just look so out of this world, whereas this blends in quite subtly. It's quite nice, quite elegant, stylish, fashionable, refined. I'm quite taken with it. It's, it looks brilliant, but not too in your face. It's more of a gentleman's cruiser, but we'll do 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and pin you firmly back in your seat, which again I think you would want from a Ferrari. But yeah, it's not. You think of Ferraris, you think of the sort of the brutes that they've created recently, things like the 812 super fast, the SF90 Stradale coming out, and all these things. I mean, they're outright supercars, whereas this packs the supercar performance but in the GT shell. And I'm really impressed with the way it crosses both boundaries. It feels every inch Ferrari, every inch supercar, and every inch Gran Touring. It's great. Like I say, it's just a really, really nice place to be. Really impressed with gear changes, the steering too. I mean, it being a GT, and also the sort of driving we're doing. Like I said, we've only had this car for an hour, so I've not been, you know, chucking it around country roads, but it's very precise. So when you're placing it through roundabouts and that sort of stuff, you know, it's nicely weighted. It feels good in your hands. So no complaints on that front. And just, you know, I guess one of the things is if you're only having it for 1 hour, you're struggling to find things to fault it on. You know, we've not given the sound system a run for its money and all that sort of stuff, and the infotainment system seems to work well and all that sort of thing. But I mean, as a first impression, and you know, Ferrari reckon that 70% of purchases of the Roma will be first-time buyers. This is the first Ferrari I've ever driven, so as someone who would fit into that category, I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. I mean, you really aren't. It is a superb car. It's really well thought out, and it drives superbly. Really, really fast. It sounds great. The numbers are impressive. The performance is impressive. The drive is impressive. I really, really like it. Nice, spacious, comfortable, airy cabin, and most of all, it feels special. It feels like a Ferrari. It's what you'd expect when you're getting in a car with that badge on it. And yeah, I mean, I am the only disappointment for me today is that I've only got an hour with it. I would like to take it home, have it for a week, and you know, just look at it on the drive. It's always a beautiful looking thing. So yeah, to conclude, first ever driving a Ferrari, I've not been disappointed, and we'll sign out on that. We'll have one more listen to that exhaust, because that is just so good, and it just the way it picks up speed as well, very addictive. You'd find yourself doing that a lot if you own one of these. Yeah, it's a fantastic car. I feel very lucky to have driven it even for an hour. It's really, really impressive. And yeah, it's also, I think it's good to see Ferrari back in that GT arena. I think that sort of the Super GT is a really special category of car. I mean, it produces, you know, we had the DBS on the channel recently, and check out the video on that, and you know, that as well, there's just something intoxicating about a Super GT. They're slightly ludicrous cars, aren't they? Slightly mad that they even exist, but they do, and they're such wonderful things, and it's great to see Ferrari, you know, back in this arena as well, and putting their engineering behind another Super GT. But yeah, I think I'm whittling on far too much now. I've been really, really impressed with this in the short time I've had it, and yeah, it feels like a really special car. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit like, please subscribe. We've got loads more coming up on the channel as well. So up next, we've got an Audi S8, we've got Polestar 1 on the horizon, Range Rover SV autobiography, we've got a KTM 620. That video might be on the channel before this one. We've got Kia Stinger, Cooper Formentor, Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio coming up. So yeah, we've got some good cars coming up as well. So please hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks.